Hey guys, welcome back. I am really enjoying making these tutorials. I'm learning heaps, and I'll be the first to admit these tutorials are at its most basic level. So I sort of call them a series, an apprenticeship in Apple Motion. The first episode we looked at the interface. So if you haven't watched that, please click the card above, and that'll take you to that video. I'm sort of trying to make it in a series and in a sequence that's going to make sense and help the cause. And in the second episode, we just touched on the basics around behaviors. And also there's a card above that if you just click on that and maybe watch those two episodes first before you come to this one. We're going to keep the theme very, very basic. I'm going to be going back to these different components and then making new videos, starting off with basic, then intermediate, then advanced as I learn these skills. So I'm going through this exercise as more of a commitment for myself to learn all these things. So if it is very, very basic for you, my apologies. There are plenty other tutorials on the internet that you could look at. That is maybe a bit more in depth. But please consider subscribing, because like I said, I'm going to be doing a thorough, comprehensive apprenticeship in Apple Motion, so that my, I suppose, graphics building skills are at least half decent. At the end of all these videos, I put sort of a bit of an inspiration video around what can be achieved with Apple Motion. So please make sure you stick around for that. Watch to the end, and then you'll see this inspiring video. And that's where I would like to get to. So I hope that makes sense. And without any further delay, let us get into some keyframes. Alright guys, so let us just have a quick look at keyframes here and just describe the difference effectively between keyframes and behaviors. Behaviors are preset movements that the system has determined for us. And I suppose it's like a quick way to get to something and very, very quickly administer a particular motion or movement that we want. Yes, when we're in the inspector, we do have some customization around that behavior, absolutely, but it's pretty much determined by the system. Keyframes are a little different in as much as they give us what appears to be a lot more customization than we would normally have with behaviors. So if you hit the Control K button, it'll drop a behavior at the beginning over there, and then you simply, as per normal, move to wherever you want the behavior to end. Hit Control K again, and it'll add a keyframe over there. And then you've got to manipulate your keyframe line in over here. And as you can see, in its most basic, simplest form, a rectangle moves over a certain distance in a particular time. Now the nice thing with keyframes is, if we go back to our beginning over here, you'll notice that it's got the keyframe line, and then there's this little dot over here which we can also move. If I click up, now click on it first. I beg your pardon, that's the dot I was thinking about. My eyesight's going. This dot here allows us to do something like this. For example, put a little bit of an arc on it, move the arc to the front, move the arc to the center, move the arc to the end. And this is what I was talking about, this is the customization of keyframes that makes it different to behaviors in essence. Alright guys, let's just look at another example. That was sort of a basic rectangle. Let's just grab our text tool, for example, and let's just say you've got the word subscribe. Hit the escape. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see it. Okay, cool. So we want maybe the subscribe word to travel from up there and come and end up down here, for example. Maybe we've got something in a video that we would like the word to dodge, or we wanted to follow a particular path. Now we know we can do that with behaviors, but we're going to look at keyframes and how that gets done. So once we've highlighted it down at the bottom here, we hit our Control K, and as you can see, our keyframe has started over there, and it's appeared over here as this little arrow. Okay, so now we want to click on that arrow, and we want to make sure that the direction of our keyframe is right. For this point, because we haven't selected an endpoint, we can't do any real manipulating as yet. All right, so what we know we want to do is we've got our key point, our keyframe sorted. We can drag along, and let's just Control K. So there we know we want it to go for that long. So let's click on it again, and now you can see our line, our travel path is actually there. So we can move it back to the beginning. All right, and we can move it into its position, its starting position, and we can say, well, we want you to end around about over here, but I would prefer you to dodge something, and maybe have a nice path like that, and then when you hit the old play button, ping, it'll drop in over there nicely. So reasonably straightforward, but as you can see, quite effective. Ping, and it'll drop in there quite nicely. So that's another example of keyframes, and as you can imagine, with all the different elements in Apple Motion and the different concepts and styles and content, the world's your oyster when it comes to using keyframes. It is a lot more work involved, and they can become quite complicated. I suppose that's why they've simplified it, because sometimes a simple behavior will just do the job. But I would imagine keyframes can add another element should we need to. I'll try and come up with another sort of basic example of where we would use keyframes, and then we can wrap up this video for this week. Alright guys, just as a final example here, in my context I use videos quite a bit, and this is the reason why I'm sort of teaching myself here, because I want to make intros with my own videos that I capture. So this I sort of filmed last year sometime in Hawaii. Actually, that was that bonsai pipeline in autumn, and just so be lucky enough to have the waves pumping that day. So right at the beginning, if you select the clip, navigate to properties, and you've got all these different properties: transform, position, rotation, and pretty much all of them you'll see there's a little plus sign. A keyframe can be added to these different properties. In this particular example, all I'm going to be using is the scale property. So let's just say, for example, at the beginning of the video I place a keyframe in there, and the scale is currently sitting at 100%. Right, we press play, the video moves down, but as you can see, what is happening is the scale is changing, it's progressing, and it sort of synchronizes, gets zoomed up quite close around about the time he is in the battle. So we're getting a much better shot of him in the tube over there, and then a second or two later it goes back down to its original frame as the tube closes and the video commences. So that is a very, very nice example of keyframes once again, and I will repeat myself, it is in its most basic form, but this really helps me understand what it is keyframes can do. And then the creativity of using the platform becomes interesting, because now it comes down to our individual creativity as to how we can actually move things and play things and put things together in such a way that it's visually pleasing to the eye. Hey guys, well, that's going to wrap up this video, and I like to sort of include a little clip that I get inspiration from by using the Motion VFX website. They have pre-made templates, so if you are sort of rushed and you need to get a project done and you just don't have the time to go through the huge steep learning curve that is Apple Motion, My suggestion would be to hop onto Motion VFX and find a template that suits your purposes. I like to play in the travel niche, so it's the videos that I sort of prefer, and the sample that I'm going to be showing you here is sort of travel related. But you could be in the tech game or whatever business, you sport, whatever, and you could find a template, a plugin, or some compositing elements that will absolutely work for you while you are learning the program. Look, thank you very, very much for watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. What is it you will actually be getting out of this? I am going to be committing to these tutorials. I'm only on video number 3 now, but as true as I'm sitting here, there will be video number 30 and there will be video number 300 if fate or destiny permits it, because once I sort of commit to something, I'm a firm believer, if you want to learn things, we have to do an apprenticeship in it. We got to spend time, and by the end of video 300, no doubt, we would have all picked up some skills. So that's the value proposition here for you guys. Every single aspect of this program is going to be covered here in some way, shape, or form, and the skills are no doubt going to grow. Anyway, enjoy this little inspirational video clip. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe, comment. Join me on this journey as we unpack Apple Motion. Thank you very, very much.